Hello, this is Clint Locklear from Predator Control Group. Main website is Wolfer Nation, and we have a trapping podcast every Friday night called Trapping Radio. And I've been getting several emails. I don't know what exactly has got this thing going or who's spreading this type of information, but it's kind of concerning in a way. So I want to take just a few minutes of your time to go over this. A lot of the emails that I've been getting, which are very strange, it's like, if I use your lures, talking to me, will I ever catch a non-target? And that's just been like really building up over this summer, and I don't know where it's coming from. And I go, well, yeah, I mean, if a raccoon comes up to a coyote set before a coyote, you're going to catch a coyote. And if a possum comes up there, which they seem to move earlier, you're probably going to catch a possum. If you don't have your paying attention, all that stuff. We're not going to get into any of that. But then another one is, do you use bait with coyotes? Because I heard that's the reason you get all the non-targets and you should just use lure. And then another one is, do your baits cause rolling? Because somebody out there apparently is saying that if you use their bait, they never roll. And it's when I say a lot of email, guys, I'm talking about a lot. I don't know if it's a video that came out or a book or somebody on YouTube or whatever. Now, I've been at this game for a little while, and I'm talking from experience as a lure maker and a professional trapper and a predator control guy. When I'm saying this right now, I'm not talking as a salesman, but I want us to use a little bit of critical thinking. Will any lure catch a non-target? Any lure that has any type of ingredient, whether it be bait or curiosity or even urine or glands, or no matter what the magic mythical formula that's in somebody's lure that they're saying you'll never have a non-target, guys, it's hogwash. It is a sales pitch. That's all it is. It's not based on anything in reality. Now, I can tell you here, we have... the USDA drops these little pellets every few years here, and it comes down. I believe there's ibuprofen in it, and they say it's to immunize the raccoons. But after they do that, our raccoons are gone, possums gone, skunks gone, small gray fox gone. That's the reason I think it's ibuprofen, which is basically what's in a lot of the rat poison. And they are controlling rabies by leaving a dead swath by doing that. And that comes right over where I trap here around the house. Now, during those years, I can honestly say that I can be down to less than probably 2% non-targets by using my stuff when I'm coyote or bobcat or fox trapping, because there is no non-targets. You know, I can run when I go down to Texas, and I can say, you know, when I'm trapping on these ranches, you know, if we're setting cat sets or coyote sets, that if I use this, that my possum catch will only be 1 out of 300 coyotes, which is absolutely true because there's hardly any possums where I go down there. You know, I could mislead. I mean, some of this stuff you hear in trapping is kind of as bad as the poison we hear on with Hillary Clinton and Trump and all that, this nastiness poison going around. Some of that seems to be licking it into trapping, and I just want to give you some solid advice when it comes to that. Anybody that has a lure that non-targets are not attracted to is junk. That means nothing is attracted to it, because if you can find any smell that a possum or a skunk won't at least go up and stick their nose to, I promise you a coyote or a cat or a fox is not going to pay any attention to it either. So don't believe that. If someone says their lure doesn't catch non-targets either, it's a bald-faced lie. It's a great misrepresentation about where they're trapping, or they don't do enough trapping to know the difference. One of those three. The other thing is, when you use coyote for coyotes, do you use bait? Guys, let me tell you something. You can go back all the way through the woofers from the 30s and 40s, all the way to the guys now that catch coyotes in numbers. And I'm talking in numbers. I'm not talking going out and catching 50 or 60 or 100 or 150. I'm talking numbers throughout the year. They do it for a living. All those guys are bait guys. Now, there's a lot of guys that want to be that way, and they try to brag that they are that way. And guys that are in the know they're really not that way, and it's a lot of hype. And they may say you don't need lure, and they sell lure and bait. But I want to show you a little critical thinking with me here. Handy dandy calculator. There's 128 ounces in a gallon. Okay, 128 is a gallon of lure. An average price probably today is, let's say, $5 an ounce. So if you make a gallon of lure and you're going to sell it, and you're going to go times 5, that gallon is worth $640. Okay, that's just what it is. Now let's say we're going to do bait. You've got 8 pints in a gallon. You're going to sell that at a high price of, say, $15. So we're going to have 8 times 15 equals 120. So if you're going to have the material to do the bait, and you're looking at this strictly from a profit mechanism going into a lure maker's hands, this went on a lot in the 70s. A lot of guys, and I guess this is where someone's latched onto this stuff, and they're trying to bring it back from the 70s and 80s. You don't want to use bait for couch. You want to use my lure, this, that, and the other, and you just want to use lure. So you need these 5 or 6 different lures to make a set or whatever it is, because it's more profitable per volume and per time to do that. So let's say when I'm going out to make federales and I've got a 30-gallon bucket of tainted, nasty horse meat, which is no fun to work with. I don't care how much you're into bait making. I'm running that through Hobarts, and I've got great big powerful drills, and I'm mixing that up and I'm doing all that. When that gets done, I've got a gallon material. I'm not selling that for $120 a gallon. When I break it down into pint-sized jars. Plus I've got the jars, which are more expensive, and the labels and all that stuff. Got to keep all that stuff in mind. But if I can get enough people to believe, for whatever reason, that they don't need bait, and they do, if they don't need bait, and then I can bump up my lure sales, now I can deal with a gallon of material worth $640. So put yourself in the mindset of someone that's trying to bamboozle some trappers. Do I want to sell stuff for $120 a gallon or $640 a gallon? Now, lure is way more expensive to make, so it's not an even comparison. But when you're thinking about someone looking at generating income, what do you want to sell, lure or bait? Because it's about the same time of you physically doing it. A lot of stuff you got to let rot down. We're not going to get out in all of those little rabbit holes and stuff. You use more musk and essential oils. You have more cost in lure. It's the reason it costs more. But would you rather sell $640 or $120? So when someone tells you that they don't need bait, is that coming from experience and historical facts? Or is it coming from they want to pad their pocketbook? I guarantee you it's because they want to pad their pocketbook. I've said from the very beginning of everything, when I started writing back in the magazines, back when all that was prevalent, all the way through all my videos. You can go back and listen to all you want to on Trapping Radio, the YouTube videos here. If you're going to put couch sets out, use bait. Then you make a decision whether you use lure. Now, see, I could have easily went the other route and said, you don't need bait, use this lure, and I can make more money. But I'm not I'd rather you, the trapper, go out and make more money yourself, and then I can build enough clientele over quality of products, especially the baits, that no, I don't make as much per volume or per time as I would if it was lure, but the trapper, it gets a better result. And I'm more interested in that than anything else. So when you hear you don't need coyotes, where's that coming from? Is it coming from experience? Because if someone is telling you that you don't need it, and they're not in, and they can't show you consistent pictures. Like when I talk about bobcats, you can come to one of my, when I'm at the Nationals or whatever, you can see year after year after year after year of these great big walls of bobcats. So if someone says, well, how do you know that your set works on bobcats? I can go, there's the picture. Not one year, not some type of weird event, but consistently over and over again. Now, there's a lot of guys that have one picture and they show it for 500 years and they try to act like it's relevant every year after year after year. But that's not what you need to be looking at as a lure buyer. You need to be looking at consistency of big pictures if someone is claiming something like that. That's not as important if someone's saying, man, I use this and this is really good and you ought to give it a try. I'm not talking about that. But when someone is going to go against all the historical fact of coyotes and bait and all of the numbers trappers of coyotes and bait, dudes, you've got to step back and ask why. Now, I'm not sure, like I said, if this is coming from videos or an article that was written somewhere on a YouTube or demos at conventions. I'm not sure where this is coming from, But don't get in that trap, because that is a trap. That's trapping trappers is what that is. That's not giving the real information. If you're going to set coyote traps, use bait. And if someone says they can go out and catch a lot of coyotes without bait, make sure, one, they're not snaring, and two, they're not running around with 10 or 15 guys. And then let them prove to you that they can go out and do what Randy Smith does, where he goes to Indiana and knocks out 100 coyotes in 2 weeks. Let whoever this is prove that. And you'll find out pretty quickly that it's not going to happen. Coyote guys, use bait. Now, the last thing that seems to be in this whirlwind of all this stuff's going on is a coyote bait that makes an animal roll. Well, there was some interesting studies that you can find. I don't have the links for them, or I'd be glad to give them to you, that you can go on USDA. I think at that time they were calling them more USDA than APHIS. And some of the Denver research, when they tested baits and lures. Like Matt Jones said one time in one of his videos, the coyotes don't want to eat your bait. They want to get it out of the hole so they can wear it. And that's what a good bait does. They want to wear it. Now, there's a difference between something that is rotted and stinky and something that has a good smell to get a certain response. You just don't want rotted and stinky. You want something that's going to get a good response. But they're still going to want to get that out and wear it like perfume. Just like your girlfriend or your wife wants to smell good. To them, that smells good. That's what they want to do. And these studies that the USDA spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on, and Denver Research spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on, if a bait or lure cannot get a cow to roll, it was an inconsistent lure. Over and over and over again. If a bait does not get a cow to roll, it's not a very good bait. You don't get the responses that you get from the other baits, because most coyotes are not getting commercial bait, that little spoonful, out of a hole because they're starving to death. They're getting it because it makes them feel happy, because it's going to make them smell good. And you can look that up. And there again, I don't know of anybody that with a straight face can be saying this to trappers that you'll never have a coyote roll on my bait. For one, that would be the first, my hairs would start standing up, because what is so mild and so lackluster that a cow would not even want to roll in it. I mean, a cow wants to roll in anything. He'll roll in urine, he'll roll in fish oil, he'll roll in any type of meat, he'll roll in musk, he'll roll in curiosity type stuff. The rollers. Go look at your dog. Take your dog out somewhere where he's got a very strange smell. The first thing you're going to do is pop, and he's going to roll down after he smells it. That's what he likes to do. So saying that it doesn't make an animal roll either is not telling the truth, or it's not going to be very consistent. And that's not Clint saying that right now. That's all the research from the USDA and Denver Research, that they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars testing all kind of different scents and smells and baits and everything. And just because they were done in the 70s and 80s does not change the fact that a coyote is still a coyote. So when you hear all this stuff, guys, and you're in it, there's some stuff that comes out that is really against historical and against the grain. Sit back, think about it. What is the purpose for someone saying this or doing this? Is it really for the trapper to become a better trapper, or is it for the trapper to be trapped by another trapper? That's what you need to be asking, and then you'll probably be able to come up with the right decision. Use your head when it comes to the sales pitches.